Look how freaking gorgeous it is this morning. I am waking up on the west side of Shackleford Banks. It's the morning of day 2 on a 5-day sea kayaking expedition. After watching sunrise, I drink some water, put some sunscreen on, check the forecast, and then pack up everything that's inside of my tent. Then I have to pack up the tent itself, which you might notice I do it a little bit differently than a lot of people, and that's so it doesn't get caked in sand. I have this big giant scuba backpack, which is really nice to just throw all my random dry bags in it. It's pretty heavy and I have to schlep it across the island. This morning, it's about a 3/4 of a mile walk through deep sand. I really love the landscape changes along this trail, so I'm bringing you with me on my walk this morning. We call this spot the Sand Canyon, and I think it's such a unique feature of this trail. I love it. It's also a really great spot to get out of the wind on really windy days. This section of the island is really wide and kind of flat, and grass grows really well here. There's not much grass out on these islands. This is like the one area, there's a ton of it, and I pretty much always see wild ponies on my walk in the morning. Why are you coming over here to me? Huh? Why are you coming over? He's a cute baby. These ponies are wild and we want them to stay that way. So you should definitely keep your distance. They do not take kindly to people getting too close. They will charge, kick, and bite you. It's also really important to know that if you feed them things that they are not used to eating, like apples and carrots, it can actually kill them. I know that sounds crazy, but even a couple of apples could kill a wild pony. Now I get to walk through this cute little mini maritime forest. And yes, this island is only reachable by boat. So you might be wondering what's the deal with the tire tracks. Well, there's volunteers and biologists who come out here, and their job is to protect the turtles, the sea turtles who make nests along this island, and the various different kinds of shorebirds that are endangered. And so they use the four-wheeler to keep an eye out on everything that's going on the island. And now I grab everything I need for breakfast out of my boat and head back to the dock to have breakfast and watch my students swim and try to beat the heat. It's already blazing hot and it's only like 8 in the morning. So my breakfast is a high protein oatmeal with freeze-dried strawberries and blueberries and cinnamon. It's really tasty. And then I make some coffee and I add collagen and creatine to it. This is how I wash my dishes on sea kayaking trips. I will say I absolutely miss this when I go backpacking. I hate doing dishes backpacking. It's one of the best things about sea kayaking is how easy it is to wash our dishes. And now it's time to pack my boat and get ready to launch. There are a couple things that are pretty repetitive about sea kayaking trips. One of them is, every morning I get up, I pack my tent up, I walk, I cook breakfast, and then I pack my boat. And then when I get to where we land, I unpack my boat and set my tent up again. So every day it's pack, unpack, pack, unpack. Packing a sea kayak is a bit like a game of Tetris, except it's more complicated because it's more complex than just what will fit where. It's about making sure that the boat is balanced and also that I can get to the things I need when I need them. Don't do this with your boat. I'm showing you to show you a couple of reasons why you shouldn't do this. I just got really fed up with my students because they were taking forever to come help me, so I just pushed it myself. So first, this is bad for the bottom of your kayak. It can wear out the plastic a lot faster. You can wear holes in the bottom of your boat. And second, it's just really hard on your body. I'm really curious what other kayakers do with their paddle when they put their spray skirt on. Here's how I hold mine. Let me know in the comments what you do with yours when you put your spray skirt on. So it is like, 100 degrees right now. The heat index is, I think, 110 or so. It's just brutally hot. So We're paddling down Shackleford right now, so we can stop anytime we want to. I was planning on stopping every hour to swim, and I think I'm gonna stop every half hour to swim. They've already done like a mile in about 30 minutes, so this is just what it's like. Sometimes leading trips, we have to really be really careful with the heat index that high. We've got to keep everybody nice and cool, and the water's of reasonable temperature, so we're gonna pull over and drink some water and get our whole bodies wet, cool off a bit. Especially with teenagers, because their pituitary glands are already kind of overtaxed from puberty, so it's even harder for them to adapt to the temperatures. And we are moving, we're physically active in this heat, so they're even more likely to get heat exhaustion or heat stroke, so gotta be super careful with everybody. Everybody know where we're going? Okay, so here's the thing. If we go to that bit of land right there, we'll probably have to carry our boats. Because do you see, if you look really closely, out kind of to the left of the land, there's marsh. You see the marsh? So you're gonna follow the marsh all the way to the left. Where it stops, that's where we're heading, okay? Because we don't wanna have to carry any kayaks. I don't want to carry a kayak. I wonder if someone forgot their beach shade.
Like the umbrella?
See that blue beach shade over there? I kind of want to. It might be in really bad shape, you know? We can go invest. Let's go take a break over there since it's pretty close.
We're halfway though.
No, it's like 6 miles. I have never stopped at this specific spot before. It's really beautiful. Kids are in some nice blue water cooling down because it's so freaking hot. The reason I was drawn to this was this awning, and then when I got here, I found this pretty gorgeous little campsite. Let me show you. It's like really cute. There's even a picnic table. This would be a great campsite if it's kind of windy and stormy on the ocean side. Could get out of the storm, get out of the wind. Could actually hang a tarp up here if it's raining. It's a beautiful little spot. The tide comes up kind of high, but it'd be hard to put fit all the boats up here, but this is a really cool spot. Really, really gorgeous. Not tons of space for tents, but we'd make it work. The smaller group would be okay.
It's not bad. 2 miles an hour.
So here's that Tetris thing. I'm unloading my boat, and I had to take out a bunch of my food bags that I didn't need in order to get to my sleep system. So to pull them all out, get my sleep stuff out, and then put all my food bags back in. There we go. That's what I wanted.
Next form. Installation.
What? Where?
Oh.
No, where?
Simmer for a bit. So I don't have too much water.
No, I've had stuff. No, we
We're looking at every other kayak.
Lucas's Jack.
Yo, what are those? Oh my god, this is burning hot.
We go from extremes here. So it was like blazing hot all day. The water is like hotter than a bathtub. And now we have this big giant storm blowing over us. It's actually really beautiful. I just really can't get over how beautiful this is. Like, this storm is absolutely beautiful. This is my mostly futile attempt at keeping sand out of my tent. So I have to sit here and wait for the tide to reach its peak because my boat's behind me. We didn't pull them up onto the dunes because I didn't want to hurt all of the vegetation. That means that they could float away. So I'm sitting here writing in my journal, just watching the tide come in. There's the boats over there. You can't really see them because my light isn't over there. There they are. Just, you know, day in the life. They're really heavy and it's hard for the students to move them. And I didn't want to squish all that vegetation. So I think the high tide line is like right here. It's hard to see in this tiny screen, but right there. So that's kind of a danger zone. So high tide I think is going to be around 9. So I've got to wait. I'm going to sit here and wait until it starts coming back out, and then it'll be safe for me to go to bed. So remember how I stayed up late in case the boats needed to be moved? Well, they needed to be moved. The high tide line is right there. So it's a good thing I stayed up. We didn't lose any boats. But the high tide line is right here. The low tide line is out past that dock. It's just because it's so shallow right here that 5 feet of tide just fills in this whole space. So that's the thing about out here, you can't get lazy. You think, oh, it'll be fine. It's not fine. You gotta err on the side of caution. And people who don't live and work out here, they think they don't have to worry about it, but they do. So, good thing I pulled all our boats up last night.